You see, it's a very, very sincere question. We want a very, very sincere answer. In your entrepreneurial journey, have you cried before? What made you cry? And what wiped your tears away?
I've had many of those moments. Some time ago, I had some people working for me who were very close to me. I'm sorry, can I take a segue? For those of us who are believers, you know that in the good book, there is the 72 that Christ sent to open up new territories. There is the 12 who were his disciples. But there is the 3 with whom he ascended, who got to see Christ be godlike. This is my model in how I build my businesses. I have my 72, my 12, and 3. My 72 understand the vision and are strong enough on the vision to go and execute it. The 12 not only understand the vision, but they also have to be approximate to the vision bearer. The 3 not only understand the vision and the vision bearer, but they also have access to the vision bearer. So they get to see the vision bearer most vulnerable and strongest. There was a time in particular we were just about to scale, and I had 2 people in that business who I trusted with my life. And then I grew to learn that they were stealing from me. But I didn't just grow to learn that they were stealing from me, it was that they were stealing from me when we were going through our hardest time. Now listen, human beings are human beings, but there is something insidious about me taking food from the table when you're barely eating yourself. This was at the time we went through just over 2 years where I didn't pay myself a salary. And at that time, they were stealing. And not just stealing a little bit of money, I'm talking millions on millions on millions. The hardest thing was, these people weren't just in my business, they were family. How do you steal from me when you know I'm barely managing to make payment for my kids' school fees? How do you steal when that happens? I gave up in that business over a period of 2 months, probably about 10 times. But there was always this voice at the back of my head that said, just go tomorrow and try again. I remember I had one specific incident. It was a Wednesday afternoon. I was sitting in the office. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm looking at all this information. I've got my risk people telling me that this is actually a case of fraud. You should be opening a case. Then there's the back of my head that goes, but if I open a case, it carries also many other implications that I've got to explain to family, I've got to explain to partners, I've got to explain. It's a disaster. It's a mess. So if I do it, there is a mess. If I don't do it, I let them get away with the mess. It was a Wednesday afternoon and I just left. I remember I went to the gym, then I went home. My trick has always been this. Just show up tomorrow. Just show up tomorrow, 7:30, and try one more day. It was that time that brought me close to God. There is something about how God uses isolation to create elevation. And so when you're isolated from the world, you can hear his voice a bit better. And then you realize God was always talking to you, you just weren't tuned in. Does that make sense? I realized at that time, God's frequency was always there. Vusi wasn't tuned in. But I learned at that time in my season of isolation that if I serve man, I will always be disappointed. I've got to serve something greater.